What's up, everyone? Welcome to the podcast, Finally, a Reason to Use My Psych Degree, with your favorite college graduate, Caitlin. With today's episode, Why Do People Do It? The Birthday Effect. First, a word from our sponsors. Have you ever tried to make a podcast, but you just don't know where to start? Well, Anchor is an easy and effective way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First, it's free, and there's a creation tool that allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. It will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on any podcast platform, from Spotify to Apple Podcasts and many more. Everything you need to make a podcast is all in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. This episode explores the birthday effect. For those of you who are too lazy to Google it, the birthday effect is a phenomenon that people are more likely to die on their birthday than any other day. So, the morbid name of this episode, Why People Do It: Die on Their Birthday. I dedicate this episode to my sister. Happy 30th birthday, Lex. This effect is also known as the birthday blues when it relates to suicide. And focusing on suicide deaths alone, large studies have found evidence for a peak in suicides on or just after the day of your birthday. And this has been discovered in Denmark, Hungary, and in Taiwan. However, we will be focusing on other reasons for this cause of death. I do want to say that if you or someone you know is struggling, you can always call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline at 800-273-8255. Back to the theories of why this happens. So there's multiple theories on why and how this whole phenomenon is actually possible. The first theory is external causes. And for all you younglings out there under 40 years old, the data states that you are more likely to die before your biological clock is up due to an accident. Not just any accident, but an alcohol-related accident. So for example, in the US, the mortality rate on the day after your 21st birthday is increasingly high because of drunk driving and alcohol poisoning. Not a shocker to me, though, since a legal drinking age is 21, and we tend to go too hard, not know how to pace ourselves, and have zero knowledge of alcohol tolerance levels. And if you were anything like me in college, I experienced this way before my 21st. But I actually ended up spending my 21st at a bar at 4 p.m. with only 3 people, me, my boyfriend, and the bartender, and I was home before 6. The second theory is psychological reasons. So if someone is sick, and I'm talking on their deathbed sick, many people will use their birthday as a goal and a means to an end. So the idea that if they can just hold on to life until they reach their birthday, they will have one last milestone. And this seems to be a similar theory when it comes to holidays such as Christmas and Passover. Another argument for psychological reasons is a birthday reminds you that unfortunately you are getting older and at some point life ends. We've not found the elixir of life just yet, so this can increase stress and ultimately stress you to death. The next theory is physiological reasons. So it's no surprise that our bodies also age with us. We start to get wrinkles, gray hairs that weren't there yesterday, and things start to get a little harder physically, not to mention your mind starts to go. And if you're anything like my mother, that starts around your 50s. Our bodies run on an internal clock, also known as our circadian rhythms, and it's set for a whole year. So scientists suggest that our bodies start to feel triggers and stress around the date that we were born, since our cycle year is about to end. Lastly, statistical reasons. So, a Swiss study in 2012 reported that 13.8% of people over the age of 60 had died on their birthday. But this isn't the first time we've seen results like this. A study in California from 1969 to the 1990s, the records had shown that nearly 3 million people had died either on or near their birthday. For men, the week before, and women, the week after. Seems to me men just don't want to celebrate their birthdays, and women died because of how pissed their birthdays were and actually happened. Now, if you don't know anyone that died on their birthday and don't believe me, here's some famous examples of people who have experienced this effect. So we have Betty Friedman, born February 4th, 1921 to February 4th, 2006. You may recognize this name from the American feminist history. I prefer the Hulu show, Miss America, dramatized history show about the women's movement, and Friedman was a co founder and the first president of NOW, the National Organization for Women. The next one is Machine Gun Kelly. And no, I'm not talking the band, but the Tennessee American gangster George Kelly Barnes, born on July 18th, 1895 to July 18th, 1954. Lastly, William Shakespeare. Now, I'm assuming here everyone went to high school and you have either heard or read the book by Shakespeare. He was born on April 26, 1564 to April 23rd, 1616. And if only he was alive to write a dramatic tragedy about dying on your birthday. And I know he didn't actually die on his birthday, but he is still considered in the statistic, unfortunately, due to human error of births and deaths records during this time frame. We don't know what the true dates actually are, but that means there could be more people than we even know. Speaking to the sport junkies out there, according to the NCAA, there has been evidence of the birthday effect in athletes. The effect was found higher reports in men than women, and the sports ranging in men and women's ice hockey, men's tennis, baseball, and softball all had higher effects. Surprisingly, football and basketball had appeared a smaller effect. This has nothing to do with sports, however. It has just been shown that people born in certain months are more likely to play and excel in certain sports. For example, football. Studies have shown that football players have later birthdays around the school cutoff year, so September. Reason: football wants the biggest and most physically mature players. Therefore, if they're born in September, they would be the oldest in the grade. Seems to make sense. I just wish my high school would have seen my birthday potential. Hopefully, this hasn't put your spirits down if your birthday is coming up soon. You most likely will not be part of the statistical wonder. But just in case, happy birthday! Thanks for listening to my podcast. Finally, a reason to use my psych degree. Stay tuned next week to see if I can find another.